What's up, guys? Tim Little. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today's video, we're talking about one of the craziest lures to hit the fishing market in a long time. We're talking about the fuzzy dice. I also have some tips and some tricks on how to add some appendages to your favorite techniques. Let's go. So, the fuzzy dice. You know, Matt and I are always intrigued by new tackle. We're always trying new things. We're always researching baits. Spent a lot of time in the early days going to Japanese online websites and basically translating those pages, if we could, into English, or using Google to translate it so we could buy unique baits, baits that weren't available in the US market. You know, that Japanese domestic market has some really, really cool baits. They are always, you know, a lot like the West Coast and you know, Japan. There's a lot of highly pressured water, right? So you're always looking for different unique baits. And I don't know how you get more unique than this guy right here, a cube dice with a bunch of appendages. It's just a crazy looking bait, but we're always researching. And so when these things started popping up about a year and a half or 2 years ago, they intrigued us. And I'll be the first to say I've learned my mistakes to try everything. I've looked at baits and thought that they were stupid. I looked at the Whopper Plopper and thought it was stupid, and boy was I wrong. I was the stupid one. So I have learned through the many mistakes of not trying baits that I could have, just based on looks. I have learned to try everything. So, and this is nothing different. This is about as crazy as you're gonna get, right? Actual dice. It has the numbers actually in the bait itself with a ton of appendages. So you have companies like X Zone, you know, making their stealth finesse craw ultra realistic. You have companies like Great Lakes Finesse making the juvie craw, the tube bait that looks ultra realistic. And then you have the OSP dice that looks like a chunk of plastic with a bunch of appendages. But through years and years of watching underwater footage with baits and how bass and fish interact with baits, the one thing that we've learned many things, but the one thing we've learned is the bass is king of their domain. They know everything that's going around in that area. You know, whether it's a camera being dropped down or a bait being dropped down. I can't tell you how many times we've put a camera down or swam down and the fish just swim right up and look right in the lens, right? They're staring. They're curious creatures. They're always looking, and then they're always wanting to eat, right? So when you put something like this down in their zone, they're gonna be intrigued by it. You know, we spent a lot of time the last couple of years teaching you guys with the added fishing pressure, with you know, through COVID and all that stuff, that you got to downsize or throw different profiles or different sounding baits, different looking baits. Oh, hello. You don't get much more different than that right there. So fishing this thing, if you are new to the fuzzy dice or are curious about it, like I was right off the bat, I tried fishing it like I saw, wacky rigged. I took my favorite wacky rig hook, I rigged it through the bait, whether through the 3, the middle dot on the 3 or the 5, came out the center, and I would throw it out there. And this bait doesn't do much. It falls fairly slow. I will say there's a salted version and a non-salted version. The salted version falls a little bit quicker, but I just wasn't impressed. It was just didn't do much. Now, when I added rod twitches, being weightless, it moved a lot and the appendages moved a lot. So I got to tinkering, and that's when I started fishing it or rigging it like a nosed hook fluke. I'll take an owner centering pin, twist it right in the middle of the bait, and then I will take my favorite number 2 drop shot hook and rig it through the eye of that owner centering pin. See how that gives that bait so much more movement? And then I would take a nail weight and rig it, cut off a little piece and rig it in the bottom to give that bait some weight. That's if I'm rigging it just wacky rigged or quote unquote weightless. What I've learned, or what we learned, Matt and I, through underwater footage, seeing this bait rigged on a drop shot. That was kind of the light bulb moment for myself and Matt. Having this thing on a drop shot. I don't know if you guys follow tournament fishing, but this bait right here on a drop shot won an Elite Series event this year. A version of a stick bait with appendages on a drop shot helped win on the St. Lawrence this year. So baits with appendages work. So what I've learned, being able to fish this faster. So obviously with a drop shot, you flip it out there, you get this thing down to bottom. I tie a fairly short leader. These fish, I want them nose down on this thing as I'm shaking it, right? I want them nose down and checking it out. So I'm shaking my rod tip, and that thing is just giving those appendages some shake, right? Just a little bit of shake, whether there's current in there or it's the subtle shaking of my rod tip. But what I've also learned is when you lift and then drop, when you lift that whole rod, it kind of compresses all of those appendages back around that cube, and that cube displaces so much water. That's the key. It displaces the water and actually can sometimes shoot up some bubble trail. And then as soon as you lift and pull and then drop, those appendages come forward and start moving, and a lot of times that's when you get your bite. But having that cube go through the water displaces a ton of water, and then having those appendages fold back and get that secondary action. We talk about that a lot in a swim jig versus a normal just swim bait. A swim bait, you get that tail kick in and maybe some body roll, whereas a swim jig, you get the tail kick in, some body roll, and you get the flare or the movement of that skirt, right? Those appendages that are moving like scales like fish. So that is what really helps, and I think is key on having those appendages. So yeah, you can get bit shaking it, letting those appendages kind of move naturally in the water, but a lot of times it's that pull. That's the key, right? So it hits bottom, you shake, nothing. You pull maybe 3 or 4 feet and then drop. That's a lot of time when you're gonna have your success, okay? So fishing it on a drop shot. I don't know if you guys have seen this dice or not, or if you are intrigued like we were, but that's another way to fish it that I really like. And again, if you want these things to last, they're not cheap. You're looking about 20 plus bucks for, 4 of them or so. You want these things to last. I highly recommend putting that small, it's a size small owner centering pin into the bait and then rigging it through that. And I'll link all the stuff down below in the video description, but it just adds a lot more durability and these baits will last a lot longer. So if you're intrigued by crazy stuff like that, definitely check out, Ray just came out with one. That's a good one. The OSP dice, again, they come in, like I said, salt, non-salt. They come in different sizes, different colors. You guys can play around with all that, but I'll link that stuff down below in the video description. But pretty cool, pretty crazy. Bass are intrigued creatures. They are always looking at stuff. And like I said, I have learned, before you knock it, try it. So these baits, you can skip them. If you're fishing them just with your wacky rig hook and not on the drop shot, you can skip them. You can fish them slowly around laydowns. But again, that pull and fall is key, okay? So now let's shift gears and teach you guys how to add some appendages to your favorite finesse techniques, whether it's a stick bait, a Nico rig, wacky rig, Texas rig, Senko, stick bait, a shaky head. I made all these baits in less than 10 minutes, guys. It is super easy. So show you guys a few tricks real quick on how to make your own. Obviously, it won't be a cube, but If you're a guy that wants to experiment, take your favorite finesse technique and add some appendages to it, let me show you how to do it. All you're gonna need, I mean, you can go to the store and buy like a sewing needle and all that stuff, but don't overthink it. This is super, super easy. You're gonna need some snips, which you should always carry on your boat or in your backpack if you're a shore fisherman, or on your kayak in case you get a hook in yourself and you need to cut it off. But you need some snips, your favorite straight shank hook, and all you're going to do, you're going to cut this hook where it's still straight. So right before the bend. You guys see that? Snap. What you're gonna end up with is this right here. Your straight hook shank with the line tie or the eye of the hook still on there. Take your favorite soft plastic. Today we're gonna use the X Zone stick bait. That's actually the true center stick. So all you need, that hook, the bait, and some skirt material. Whether you want to buy it in bulk like I do, because I'm always changing skirts on jigs and playing around, tinkering with stuff, or you just want to go to your favorite rusted out old jig and cut some skirt material off. Either way, it works. So, got our skirt material, took a few strands out, so we'll use these 3 orange ones so you guys can see that. Guys, it is super simple. Even if you don't have a straight shank hook and you don't want to cut up a cover shot HD, you can do this with a paper clip as well. Paper clip, turn it into something like this. The narrower the better, but you want to have a little bit of opening so you can grab your skirt material through the bait. So let's do it. Okay, take your favorite soft plastic. Take your strand of skirt material. All you're doing is putting it through the eye of the hook, okay? I like to center it up. Now, let's say we're gonna rig this on a Nico rig, right? So, like this guy right here, you got your hook and your nose weight down towards the head of the bait. So I'm gonna start just below the eggs. I mean, you can start wherever you want, but you're basically, all you do is I'll hold it this way, and all you do is pull that through, okay? See how that does that? Now it's up to you. Do you want a single strand like the OSP dice? Single strand, very flexible, lots of movement. Or do you want 2 strands, right? You see these 2 strands? All you have to do, if you want 1 strand, you literally grab 1 strand and pull it through. If you want 2 strands, all you do is you take your scissors and cut off right there, and boom, you have your 2 strands out both ends. But let's go ahead and just do 1 strand. So I'm gonna take 1 part of that skirt and pull it through. And then all I'm going to do now is center it up, okay? Boom, we got 1 done. Now, let's go through. So that way we went left to right. This way we'll turn it a little bit and we'll go left to right that way. That way it has different angles for your material. It's really that simple, guys. I'll show you guys one more how to do a double real quick. Again, put your skirt material through the eye of the hook. Again, you can use a sewing needle if you want. You can use your paper clip if you want. Center it up. And then just pull it through the bait. Don't pull it all the way through. Okay, if we want this one double, we're just gonna take some scissors, cut that. And you guys can see, now you have 2 strands coming out of there, right? I like to spread them out a little bit. Again, you can play around with this. You can do whatever you want, but it's just adding skirt material to your favorite finesse techniques. I like to do this on Ned rigs. Color, I like to just match my bait. You know, I have a few different packs of skirt material, so I used the orange today just to kind of to show you guys. Hopefully that really stood out. But as far as like actually doing my baits, I'll use some green pumpkins, I'll use some lighter oranges, you know, some stuff with some flake in it, maybe some blue flake. But guys, it's not hard to take and make your favorite finesse technique with appendages. Again, this all started again with that OSP dice. It's a cool bait. It's a bait. Someone definitely was thinking out of the box, about the box, I guess. But it's cool, it works. And it's just one of those things those fish haven't seen. And then if you're a guy that wants to take your Nico fishing, your drop shot fishing, your shaky head fishing, your Ned rig fishing to a different level, guys, it's as easy as cutting off the shank of a hook, trimming your favorite jig skirt, pulling it through the bait and cutting it off, and you guys will have some unique looking finesse presentations. Guys, I'll link this stuff down below. Like I said, it is super easy. I mean, you can do it with a paper clip, you can do it with whatever sewing materials you want to use. But again, the easiest, most efficient way for me is just taking a straight shank hook and using the eye on the hook. But again, if you haven't played around with baits with a lot of appendages, check it out. Those fish are intrigued by it. It has a ton of movement. That OSP has a ton of water displacement, and it just is a unique bait. Guys, let me hear your thoughts. Let me hear your experiences. Those of you guys that have fished a dice type bait, a fuzzy dice type bait, I want to hear if you've caught them on it, if it didn't really click with you, if you didn't get it or you got it and you've caught a bunch of fish. I'm curious to see. It took me a while to understand and see what I was doing wrong and really learn how to fish the bait correctly. But I'm curious on your guys' experiences, if you've even seen the fuzzy dice or if you've even heard about it. If you haven't, now you have. Now you know how to trick out your favorite Senko or your Ned rig. But down below, let me hear your thoughts, guys. As always, we appreciate the support. If you like this video or learned something from this video, or you learned about a new bait, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys on the next video.